This is Qtv News and I am Jenna Basonko. Thanks for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. The families of the 56 West African migrants who were allegedly massacred in the Gambia under the directive of former President Yahya Jammeh have filed a complaint at the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice against the Gambia and Ghana. The Gambia joins the rest of the world to commemorate World Children's Day, which is set aside to raise awareness on the different issues affecting children. The Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture on Thursday began an inspection tour of tourism projects, facilities and heritage sites across the country. President Umaru Sissoho Embalo of Guinea-Bissau has decorated outgoing Gambian ambassador, His Excellency Aliou K. Jammeh, with a prestigious award. In international news, we will bring you a roundup of news from around the African continent, including prospects of issuing an arrest warrant for the former president of Sierra Leone and also the mysterious skin disease affecting more than 500 fishermen in Senegal, amongst other stories. In sports news, the world's most prestigious basketball competition, the NBA, already gaining popularity in Africa, seems about to be even more so. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News. Now the news in detail. The families of the 56 West African migrants who were allegedly massacred in the Gambia under the directive of former President Jammeh have filed a complaint at the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice against the Gambia and Ghana governments for what they describe as the government's infringement of several human rights, including the right to judicial remedies. Mamadou Lamin Choi has the rest of that.
It is 15 years since 56 West African migrants were allegedly massacred by Gambian security forces on suspicion of involvement in a coup attempt against the then President Yahya Jammeh. The families of the victims have expressed frustration over their long wait for justice, even when the truth surrounding the extrajudicial killing of their loved ones have now appeared to have surfaced. These two Ghanaian nationals are sons of victims of the tragic incident who cannot wait anymore for the long journey to justice.
When we arrived, he asked me to give him Sanamanyan told me, finish him. He asked me for me to allow him to say his prayers. I said, go ahead. He kneeled down to say his prayers. Then Sanamanja has already released the shot and fired him.
People that did the job, people that did the execution have come out to come and say that we did this. So what is the government waiting for? Our current president now, Nana Akufo-Addo, you were the foreign minister.
You were the foreign minister.
If even that time you don't have power, now you are the overall boss. Now you have power.
The digging into the massacre that has widely been alleged to have been a directive from the then President Yahya Jammeh has reached the pinnacle after several self-confessions by security forces at the Gambia's Truth-Seeking Commission and human rights investigators. The investigations by Human Rights Watch and Trial International included 30 interviews, some of which include former highest-ranking security commanders of the former regime, victims' families, the sole escapee of the incident, and 11 other security officers who claim to have been directly involved in the massacre.
We interviewed 30 former security officials. And I noticed that a lot of them were really keen to speak about what had happened. I felt it was after all these years of dictatorship that they felt like they could finally speak out about some of the events they witnessed and probably didn't agree to.
The families of the victims have now triggered legal proceedings against the Ghana and Gambia governments by filing a complaint at the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice for redress. The legal measure is supported by Sterling Center for Justice and Development and the African Network Against Extrajudicial Killings and Enforced Disappearance.
We work with a lot of victims, and when they express their request or their desire to seek further justice, we do the necessary work in terms of getting them, putting together, helping them do the work with the investigators, work with the lawyers, and being generally liaison, and working with any other activity that they are doing. We try to have a holistic approach.
Even though the Gambia is on a truth-searching mission into human rights abuses by the former regime, and after the expression of commitments for justice by Ghana and the Gambia government, The victims are now almost without any trust or confidence in the two governments to address their concerns.
The most difficult part of our experience is that we do not feel supported by the Ghana government. I don't think we are being treated fairly. Is it because my father and the others were migrants?
The migrants, including 44 Ghanaians, 12 other West African nationals, 2 of whom were women, 1 of whom was pregnant, were supposedly bound for Europe when they ran into the net of the Gambian security forces after their boat landed in the Gambia. An incident that then led to what the self-confessed killers claimed to be a mass execution that involved gunshots, machetes, axes, knives and sticks, with bodies of some of the victims chopped up into pieces. 15 years from that gruesome incident, families are still resolute to search for the truth and get justice for the departed souls. Mahmoud Lamin, Qtv News.
Now, the Gambia joins the rest of the world to commemorate World Children's Day, which is set aside to raise awareness on the different issues affecting children and how to improve their welfare. I engaged several stakeholders, and this is my report. Let's take a listen. The origin of commemorating this day goes back to 1925, when representatives from different countries met in Geneva, Switzerland, to convene the first World Conference for the well-being of children. After the conference, some governments around the world designated a day as Children's Day to highlight children's issues. In November 20th, 1959, the UN General Assembly adopted the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. It is also the date in 1989 when the UN General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The UN believes mothers and fathers, teachers, nurses and doctors, government leaders and civil society activists, religious and community leaders, corporate mongols and media professionals, as well as young people and children themselves, can play an important part in making World Children's Day relevant for their societies, communities and nations.
Today is very significant. It really gives the children the voices required. And it's also a stock-taking event, because it's important every day we sit as a nation, as stakeholders that are supporting and promoting the rights and the welfare of children, to try to understand how far have we gone with them. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Children have been ratified by the country, and we all operate within that framework.
This year, the COVID-19 crisis has resulted in a child rights crisis. The cost of the pandemic for children are immediate and, if unaddressed, may last a lifetime. The pandemic has severely affected children's right to education because school closures are one of the most visible and controversial means by which COVID-19 is affecting children. According to the UNESCO, the education of nearly 1.6 billion pupils in 190 countries has so far been affected. That's 90% of the world's school-age children. 2 days before this report, it was announced that all schools in New York are to close indefinitely, affecting 300,000 children due to a second wave of the coronavirus.
COVID-19 has affected the world at large, but it has also affected Gambia in particular. As a student, it affected me a lot because normally we start as our syllabus September, we open school September, but this year it delayed till November. And then there is a very big delay, and then like what we should have covered from September to October, like now that's gone, like it's wasted. It has wasted our time a lot. And then it also, when it comes to security, it is UNICEF, they advocated that during this COVID-19, children who are affected by poverty and family violence are at risk.
Apart from the coronavirus, neonatal death remains a challenge for Gambia, and the UNICEF country representative calls for improvement in that area. The first 28 days of life, the neonatal period, is the most vulnerable time for a child's survival. Children face the highest risk of dying in their first month of life at an average global rate of 17 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2019.
Infant and under 5 mortality have been coming down progressively over the past couple of years, but we still have a very big challenge when it comes to neonatal mortality. Children who die during their first 30 days of life. That's where it's concentrated, and that's where it's hardest to achieve inroads.
Child rights activist Lamin K. Sadi called on the Gambian government to regularly report to treaty bodies for the rights of the children as expected.
We're also looking forward to the Gambian government fulfilling its reporting obligation to the treaty body, like the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of Children. For almost 30 years, this year, the International Children's Day is also reflecting on. It coincided with the 30th anniversary of the African Charter that the Gambia, after ratification, has never reported to the treaty body, and we're hoping that advocacy will be mounted to ensure that the government is pressured to submit its initial and periodic reports to the UN committee.
The theme for this year's World Children's Day commemoration is Investing in Our Future means investing in our children. Children face greater than average developmental challenges, yet tend to have fewer resources invested in them. Investment ranges from education, law enforcement, and more.
I want a world for a child where child labor need to stop, because I believe that every child needs to go to school, be educated so that he or she can become a better person tomorrow.
We should make sure that our rights are effectively used and not violated. As we know, like, we're living in a world where violating the rights of children is rampant. So I say that this should come to an end. So on this day, as much as I look back to our achievements, there's the same way I call on everybody to bring the problems affecting children worldwide to be brought on the table and then talked about. And then I believe that these problems, it is said that there is virtually no problem without a solution. So I believe even these problems that are affecting children have solutions as well.
This year, the commemoration of the World Children's Day in the Gambia is unique because stakeholders have joined efforts to have a single celebration instead of duplicating each other's efforts. Happy International Day of the Child. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Wasongo. The Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture on Thursday began an inspection tour of tourism projects, facilities and heritage sites across the country. QTV's Ansumana Isonyasi is with the delegation and he files in this report.
Accompanied by senior officials of the Ministry, the National Council for Arts and Culture and GT Board, the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Ahmad Ba, commenced his tour of facilities in North Bank with a visit to the UNESCO Heritage Site, Fort Bullen in Bara. Received by the village alcalo and the governor of North Bank region, a visibly elated Honorable Ba expressed his delight with the ongoing works. Delivering a message of appreciation to the contractor, Minister Ba said, once completed, this DK Jawara resort at Fort Bullen will promote domestic tourism, thereby transforming tourism in the region.
Promote domestic regional tourism. We believe that the North Bank is key in all the efforts that we want to invest in this field. Now, the infrastructural development that is ongoing here will certainly attract a lot of tourists and create a lot of jobs as we speak. And we are going to intensify our training program for the youths of this area so that all the facilities that are in this area, we will have to employ people who come from this region to work in this particular area.
Furthermore, he renewed government's commitment to maintaining all heritage sites and urged local authorities to take ownership of the ongoing projects in their communities. From Fort Bullen, the delegation visited the Berending Crocodile Pool. Here, they were received by the village alcalo and members of the community as women sang traditional songs in appreciation of the minister's visit, as he revealed plans to preserve the place and the building of a restaurant around the pool. From Berending, the delegation visited Jufure, where they had an eventful night as villagers held series of entertainment activities. Ansumana Isonyasi for Qtv News.
President Umaru Sissoho Embalo of Guinea-Bissau has decorated outgoing Gambian ambassador, His Excellency Aliou K. Jammeh, with a prestigious Bissau National Award in recognition and appreciation of his service. Aliou Cisse reports.
The recognition comes as the Gambia's ambassador to Bissau, Aliou K. Jammeh, ends his tour of duty in the former Portuguese colony. Jammeh, a former youth and sports minister, was appointed ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary to Bissau in 2018 with concurrent accreditation to Guinea-Conakry and Cape Verde. President Embalo presented the award, Medal of National Order of Merit of Cooperation and Development for exemplary achievement to Jammeh at the State House in Bissau. President Embalo was full of praise for the Gambian ambassador for further strengthening the Banjul-Bissau ties and for being among the first diplomats in Bissau to recognize his victory after the Bissau election.
I remember one day I was elected. You was one of the first, you and the Senegalese President Ambassador of Senegal And the Nigeria one was the beginning to say is one election. We don't want to join another who want to play the game with the serious issue to bring us in the civil war. It's why today I am here to recognize this good job by the democracy and developing our country, Guinea-Bissau and Gambia. I told President Barrow, it's my big brother, to take care of you, to see. I know you are going to Sierra Leone. Yeah, also there, we're going to say President Bio. Barrow sent the good son of Gambia to represent Gambia in Freetown. This link you have with Guinea-Bissau is not only because of me, it's because of Guinea-Bissau. You are the honorary citizen of Guinea-Bissau. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador.
Receiving the award, attended by his mother and embassy staff, an emotional sounding Ambassador Jammeh paid tribute to the staff of the embassy for the phenomenal teamwork and cooperation, attributing this as being the main factors responsible for the great successes registered during his tour of duty.
Mr. President, on behalf of my family, my colleagues at work, on behalf of His Excellency, your colleague, brother, President Barrow, and all the people of the Gambia who I represent here, and on my own humble behalf, I extend gratitude to you and your government and the totality of the great people of Guinea-Bissau for the hospitality, care, and comfort that I enjoyed here during this period. I have made great friends, found family, met incredible people, all very supportive to my work. Because of them, I settled in quickly when I was posted here and found them very welcoming and found a very conducive environment. And thus we were able to build on the already cordial and very friendly bilateral relationship between the two governments and the peoples of the Republic of the Gambia and the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. As I prepare to leave for another jurisdiction, I want to announce that I will miss Guinea-Bissau, for indeed Guinea-Bissau has been very good to me.
Ambassador Jammeh moves to Sierra Leone as High Commissioner, where his remit includes serving as Ambassador to Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire respectively. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Well, congratulations to His Excellency Aliou Jammeh. Now, we will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is Qtv News. Now, in the ongoing investigation of the defunct NIA by the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, Thursday's second witness, Colonel Per Mendy, narrated how the junglers manhandled him when he was accused of being part of a plot to overthrow Jammeh regime. Babakar C reports.
Lieutenant Colonel Pierre John Mendy began his testimony by recalling the incident of 2000 when Almamo Mane was killed in what they allege was an attempted coup. Mendy said at the time he was the head of the military police at the Yundum barracks. The witness said he received a call from the CDS at the time, Babukar Jatta, who ordered him to take care of the camp as there were some movements going on. After a while, the witness said some soldiers brought the body of Almamo Mane and another soldier who was arrested and handcuffed. The witness said he was instructed by the CDS Babukar Jatta to bury the body of Almamo Mane.
After the deputy called me
and
said that you have to bury Almamo Mane. But I said I am not a Muslim. And the corpse, I think they should wash it
te foog naa ne néew bi dañ ko war a sanga
before burial.
balaañ koo suul.
He said that no, these are instructions, you have to bury it.
mu ne lii day ndigal la te danga ko war a suul.
You have to get some of your men.
danga war a oo sa ay nit.
They dig the grave.
ñu gas bàmmeel bi.
And then you bury him.
nga suul ko fa.
I still insist that I am not a Muslim.
tey maa ngi gën a dëgëral de ne man duma jullit.
And I have never buried a human being.
te man musuma suul nit.
But he said that you saw me standing with the chief of staff.
mu ne ma gis nga maa ngi taxaw ak chief of staff bi.
So just get the Muslim boys after prayers.
léegi bu jullee pare rek ooyal jullit yi nga xam ne ñoo fi nekk.
And then you bury him.
On the Ndurcham-led failed coup plot, Mendy said he was in his house breaking his fast when soldiers led by Umpa Mendy came in and arrested him and took him to Mile 2 Prison Security Wing No. 5. The witness said he was taken to the NIA the following day and asked to narrate his role in the failed coup, to which he says he told the panel that he had no idea of any coup plot. Lieutenant Colonel Mendy said the panel didn't believe his statement and Hedera gave orders for him to be taken to the torture chamber.
I was beaten mercilessly. They told me to sit down.
dañ ma ne ma toog door nañ ma door yu métti.
Sticks.
di ma weexa.
Wine wire.
ay banta ak ay wire.
Hose pipe.
ay pipe.
Even with iron also.
ak sax ak ay weñ.
Mendy said he was beaten on more than 3 occasions, but the worst torture came on the 4th time when he was picked up at midnight and driven to the NIA.
They used the electric wire.
ñu jël buumi courant bi.
Put it on my head.
def ko ci suma boppa bi.
And it was bright like daylight.
mu ngi leer nag comme bëccëg.
It was just like when a welder man is welding an iron.
dafa mel ni welder man rek su fekkee ne mu ngi suude weñ.
That is how you see the sparks.
noonu ngaa gisee ferñeent yi.
And the plastic bag melt on my head.
The witness said the junglers used 6 plastic bags over his head, which he says melted due to the electric shock and beatings. The witness said after 3 years in jail, they were taken to the High Court and then to the court-martial, where he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for concealment. He said those that were facing concealment crimes were taken to the NIA and offered to change their statements to witness statements so they would be used as state witnesses, which they refused. Mendy, like other detainees, served 9 years in prison before he was pardoned by ex-President Jammeh during a July 22nd celebrations. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
The Inter-Party Committee, IPC, on Friday commenced a 2-day induction and dialogue on the review of the 2020 draft election bill to build consensus on the code of conduct for the IPC members and their parties. Omar Pijalo reports.
The objective of the meetings is to bring leaders and operatives of the new and all political parties together to develop a common understanding of the Memorandum of Understanding and political parties' code of conduct. The meeting will also provide a forum to strengthening the capacities of political parties' leaders in intra- and inter-party dialogue processes and mitigation of electoral conflicts and disputes. The IEC chairman, Ali Momor Njai, said political parties are the chief actors in maintaining political peace and stability in any country. Therefore, they are expected to bring about development and not hatreds and conflicts. He gave an assurance that the IEC will continue to ensure free, fair and transparent elections in the Gambia.
The democracy is not only limited to elections, yet elections may be viewed as the bedrock of democratic governance.
The UNDP country resident representative, Aissata Day, calls on political parties' leaders to rethink and include women, youth, CSOs and persons with disabilities in their party's executives to ensure no one is left behind.
We will continue to work closely with the IPC and Independent Electoral Commission and all other stakeholders will be supporting the process to ensure the entire electoral cycle will be a successful one.
The EU ambassador to the Gambia, Els Bonstra, said the outcome of the 2-day forum will determine to a large extent how future elections will be conducted in the Gambia, and gave an assurance of her office's support to the electoral reform process.
Let's talk about today. It is the responsibility of each and every political party present here, as well as international partners who are here in the Gambia, to keep the interests of the Gambians and the Gambian nation at heart when discussing the important issues, concerns, observations and ideas that you will be bringing to the table.
Claude Kondo, political advisor to the ECOWAS Commission, said political parties are the building blocks of every country and commended the present government for creating the conducive environment for multi-party democratic system.
It is against this backdrop, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm here this morning to reiterate the commitment of ECOWAS to continue to support the Inter-Party Committee for it to be responsive to the needs of the people of the Gambia in addressing fundamental issues that are of national importance.
The co-chairperson of the Inter-Party Committee, Honorable Halifa Sallah, said the authority of governance must be driven from the electorates, hence the need for those in authority to respect the opinions of the people who elect them into office.
We are the owners of the Gambia. We are the owners of development. Support is therefore just a supplement, not a substitute for self-reliant development. And that is precisely why we have decided as political party to convene this meeting today.
At the end of the 2 days forum, participants are expected to come up with a political party's code of conduct in a multi-party democracy contest. Deep understanding of the draft election bill and arriving at a consensus on contentious issues and views of diverse electoral stakeholders are likely to be reflected in the final draft bill that will be approved by Parliament. Reporting for QTV News, I am Amar P. Jallo.
A delegation from the Spanish security agents on Friday ended a 3-week training for the Gambia security officers, in particular the Immigration on Border Control and Management, funded by the European Union and the Spanish government. Babakar C. has the rest of that.
The 3 weeks training for the Immigration, Navy, Customs, Police, SIS and Drug Squad by the Spanish Civil Guard is to equip the security personnel, particularly those on border control and surveillance, to enhance the effective control of the movement of people, goods and services and help curb illegal migration. The Commissioner for Migration Management, Gambia Immigration Department, Fode Gassama, said the training was most opportune as boats are still leaving the country en route to the Canary Islands.
This all-important training, especially the modules on irregular migration, couldn't have come at a more appropriate time than now, when the sub-region, including the Gambia, is witnessing a resurgence in the irregular migration menace. Recently, irregular migration trends seems to be shifting from the central Mediterranean route, which is the Niger-Libya route, to the western Mediterranean route, which is the Atlantic Ocean route, bound for the Spanish archipelago of Canary Islands.
The charge d'affaires at the Spanish embassy in Dakar, Ana Gracia Gallego, said the government will continue to collaborate with their Gambian counterpart on key development areas.
In Spain, we say a friend in need is a friend indeed. And we can all agree that 2020 has been a year of need, and 2021 will probably be one as well. In this occasion, and as Major Leon said, Spain wants to really express its unwavering engagement with security with the Gambian, and we will do so deploying more strengthened cooperation in the areas that were touched with this course. So we're really happy to be friends of the Gambia in times of need of both our countries.
The head of the Spanish security team, Eduardo Leon, said his team experienced a memorable 3 weeks in the Gambia and described their coming to the Gambia as part of a long-standing relationship between Spain and the Gambia since 2008.
The Blue Sahel project has among its objectives to increase the training and capacity building of this country and neighboring law enforcement forces similar, with the only purpose of succeeding in coordinated actions to fight in a very effective form against organized crime, including irregular immigration. In order to achieve permanence over time, with this effort, the Spanish Guardia Civil is ready to resume the technical assistance provided in the past to the Gambia law enforcement, in order to strengthen even more our partnership during next months and even more.
The Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department, Sidi Mutar Toure, thanked the European Union through the IOM and the Spanish government for providing this timely training for the security personnel.
The training ending today is yet another milestone achieved through their continuous effort in providing the requisite technical and operational knowledge to our officers
and thereby significantly enhancing their professionalism. At this juncture, it is therefore prudent that I say a big thank you to the Guardia Civil and the government of Spain through the Honorary Council here present for all the benevolent support rendered not only to GID, but to the entire security fraternity of this country.
Curbing illegal migration continues to be a nightmare for many African countries, with Gambia still losing young and vibrant youths through the so-called back way to Europe. With this training and providing the security sector personnel with the necessary tools to operate effectively, it is hoped using the high seas in search of greener pastures will soon be a thing of the past. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
We will take another short commercial break, and when we come back, we will take a look at international and sports news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now on to some international news. More than 500 fishermen in Senegal have contracted a mysterious skin disease after returning from sea, a senior government health official said on Thursday. More in this report.
The fishermen from several fishing towns around the capital Dakar have been placed in quarantine for treatment, according to National Director of Health Information and Education, Ousmane Gueye. According to a report by the Ministry of Health, the first case was reported on November 12 when a 20-year-old showed symptoms on his body. Senegal is accusing ships believed to be carrying toxic products. The National Coordinator of Social Dialogue, Fisheries and Aquaculture, Mamadou Diop Chon, is reported to have said that the disease is due to commercial boats that transport chemical products. He added that fish products may be infected by this toxic liquid, which is likely to be the cause of pimples on the face, arms, lips, private parts, as well as watery eyes. The victims were also experiencing headaches and showing slightly elevated temperatures. According to the National Director of Health Information and Education, Ousmane Gueye, the Senegalese Navy will be sent to take water samples for analysis. The country is currently battling the coronavirus disease, which has affected over 15,000 people and more than 300 deaths. The mysterious disease is only confined to Senegal at the moment, but lessons should be learned that if the coronavirus that emanated from China can be imported all over the globe, including the Gambia, precautions need to be taken as the Gambia and Senegal are neighboring countries whose rivers flow into each other. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
In Sierra Leone, there is a real prospect the country's former president could face being arrested. More in this report.
Sierra Leone's Anti-Corruption Commission has indicated it is considering issuing an arrest warrant against the country's former president, Ernest Koroma, after he failed to comply with a summons to appear before the commission. The ex-president's lawyers claimed it was unsafe for him to travel from his hometown Makeni in the North Province to the capital Freetown, 186 kilometers away. However, this claim comes after investigators claimed when they went to his home to question him in October, his supporters physically prevented them from doing so. The commission wants to question the former leader after an inquiry concluded that corruption during his 11-year presidency took the country to the brink of economic collapse. Mr. Koroma, who is not allowed to leave the country, denies any wrongdoing. Some Sierra Leoneans are now arguing that the ex-president is seeking to place himself above the law and have taken to reminding him about his words about the Anti-Corruption Commission when he was president. Among other things, he had said then, "Not even my family members will be protected." Tellingly, he did not say, "No will I." Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Ethiopia's Tigray crisis takes an unexpected turn as the head of the World Health Organization is accused of arming the rebels. Here is the report.
As the military battles escalates in Ethiopia's troubled Tigray region away from the battlefield, matters have taken an unexpected turn. The head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has been accused by Ethiopia's army chief, made the claim that Ghebreyesus helped to procure weapons for the Tigray People's Liberation Front. In making the claim, General Berhanu Jula, speaking at a press conference that Dr. Tedros, who is Tigrayan, had left no stone unturned to support the TPLF, the armed group currently fighting Ethiopian government forces. Dr. Tedros has been forced to issue a denial saying, "There have been reports suggesting I am taking sides in this situation. This is not true," he wrote on Twitter. "I want to see that I am on only one side, and that is the side of peace," he added. Hundreds are reported dead since the conflict erupted in early November, and thousands have fled to neighboring Sudan. A feud that had been brewing for years escalated in September when Tigray held a regional election in defiance of a nationwide ban on all polls imposed because of the coronavirus pandemic. The fighting broke out on 4th November after Ethiopia's central government accused the TPLF of attacking a military base to steal weapons, a claim denied by the TPLF. Mohamed Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
A Ugandan musician and presidential candidate is getting used to being arrested on an almost weekly basis. More in this report.
Robert Kyagulanyi, otherwise known as Bobi Wine, and a prospective Ugandan presidential candidate, has been released on bail after being charged with spreading coronavirus. This is one of several arrests of the music star politician. This time, the charge is that the singer held a large rally this week, thereby breaching coronavirus rules. Human rights groups say the virus charge is a pretext to suppress political opposition. Supporters of the star took to the streets in protest at his arrest, and by Friday, 28 people were reported killed in clashes with police and what appeared to be armed men in plain clothes. Robert Kyagulanyi is among 11 candidates challenging President Yoweri Museveni, who came to power 34 years ago when Kyagulanyi was 4 years old. Human Rights Watch says it is clear that the Ugandan authorities are using COVID-19 guidelines to repress opposition and that the governing party has held large events ahead of the elections on 14 January 2021. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
Now on to some sports news. The world's most prestigious basketball competition, the NBA, already gaining popularity in Africa, seems about to be even more so. Here's the report.
This year's NBA draft, where teams get the chance to sign players, has seen an upsurge in the number of players of African descent. The league has long been dominated by African-American players. However, this year was the year in which the planned NBA-backed Basketball Africa League was scheduled to take off. The match tip-off had to postpone due to the coronavirus pandemic. The league was due to feature 12 teams, namely from Algeria, GS Petroleas, Angola, Petro de Luanda, Cameroon, FAP, Egypt, Zamalek, Madagascar, GNBC, Mali, AS Police, Morocco, AS Saleh, Mozambique, Ferroviario de Maputo, Nigeria, Rivers Hoopers, Rwanda, Patriots, Senegal, AS Douane, Tunisia, US Monastir. In spite of the postponement, African basketball fans still have reason to rejoice. German player Dennis Schroeder has been snapped up by current NBA champions, the LA Lakers, one of the most well-supported teams in the NBA. Schroeder's mother is Gambian and his father German. The point guard, who was with Oklahoma City Thunder, had said at the beginning of the month he had no interest in signing for the Lakers or anyone else. The Lakers star player is probably the most famous of the current crop of NBA stars, LeBron James. In another development, the NBA's 2020 draft has seen teams register a record number of players of Nigerian descent. In the virtual draft held on Wednesday, 8 players of Nigerian descent were selected in the NBA Draft 2020, a record high for the West African country and, by extension, Africa. Precious Achua Odoko Azubueke, the two born in Nigeria, were selected in the top 30, making it the first time the 2 players from Nigeria were selected in the first round of the same NBA draft. Achua was selected 20th overall by the Miami Heat, becoming the third Nigerian player to be drafted in the first round since 2000. Azubuike was selected 27th overall by the Utah Jazz. The two of them are among the historic set of 8 draftees from or with at least one parent from Nigeria. These include Isaac Okoro by the Cleveland Cavaliers, Onyeka Okonkwo by the Atlanta Hawks, Zig Naji by the Denver Nuggets, Desmond Bani by the Boston Celtics, Daniel Otoro by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Jordan Nwora by the Milwaukee Bucks. Okoro, the 66 shooting guard, small forward from Auburn, expressed his delight at being the first Nigerian to be drafted. He said, and I quote, "It feels great to be the first Nigerian in this draft to be drafted. It is also just a blessing. Like you said, my mom always tells me to keep that Nigerian pride. Even though I wasn't born in Nigeria, I still got Nigerian blood. So it is just having that on my shoulders." End of quote. Mohamed Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
Before our closing headlines, here is an important announcement from the Q Group. We, the Q Group, comprising of several entities including QCell and QuantumNet, have received several inquiries about an unrelated entry called QNet. We, the Q Group, hereby bring to the attention of the general public that QNet is not a member of the Q Group and has no relationship or dealings whatsoever with the Q Group. All inquiries or correspondences relating to QNet should therefore be directed to QNet and not to Q Group. Before we end this news bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. The families of the 56 West African migrants who were allegedly massacred in the Gambia under the directive of former President Jammeh have filed a complaint at the ECOWAS Community Court against the Gambia and Ghana. The Gambia joined the rest of the world to commemorate World Children's Day, which is set aside to raise awareness on the different issues affecting children. The Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture on Thursday began an inspection tour of tourism projects, facilities and heritage sites across the country. President Umaru Sissoco Embalo of Guinea-Bissau has decorated outgoing Gambian ambassador, His Excellency Alieu K. Jammeh, with a prestigious award. In international news, we brought you a roundup of news from around the African continent, including prospects of issuing an arrest warrant for former president of Sierra Leone and also a mysterious skin disease affecting more than 500 fishermen in Senegal, amongst other stories. In sports news, the world's most prestigious basketball competition, the NBA, already gaining popularity in Africa, seems about to be even more so. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Thanks for watching.